Ports. What ports are? Ports is an interface or a connection point which is mostly at the back or the rear of your computer, and with these ports we are able to connect external devices to the computer. We got different types of ports, just like VGA port, parallel port, serial port, USB port. So these ports are used for connecting input-output devices through cable or through wire. So whenever you want to connect a USB, so USB port is there, or whenever you want to connect your mobile to the computer, so through USB port you will connect that, or whenever you want to connect a printer, so again through USB port or through parallel port you're going to connect, or any keyboard or mouse you want to connect, so through the ports you can connect those input output devices. Expansion slot. What are expansion slot? Whenever your computer or your motherboard capability is not there and you want to add some new feature on your motherboard, so we use expansion slot for that. These are narrow sockets. If you see here, this white color, chocolate color, black color, all these are a expansion slot on your motherboard. On these expansion slot we connect different types of cards which can be fixed on your motherboard. So what will happen? The capability of your motherboard get increased, or the capability of your system get increased. What types of card we put on that? We connect VGA card or modem or network card or TV tuner card or Wi-Fi card. Okay, so these devices can be added on these expansion slot. If you see here, these expansion slot have a different colors. Okay, white color mostly are a PCI slot. If you see here, the another one chocolate color, that is a VGA slot, and the black color, the biggest one, that is a ISA, Industrial Standards Association, that is the old slot which is available on a P1 or P2 computer. Right now this ISA slot is not utilizing too much. In modern computers, the circuitry of many of these cards is integrated in a motherboard itself. So what will happen if all the functionalities are coming built in on your motherboard? So the motherboard size get reduced and the cost also reduce. Why? Because whenever your motherboard is smaller, okay, so the slots will be less. Expansion card standard or expansion slot standards include AGP, PCI and PCI Express. So these are a different expansion slot which will be available on your motherboard. First one is AGP. AGP stand for Accelerated Graphic Port. This port is specially designed for video or for graphic. Whenever you want to connect any 3D card to your computer, so mostly we utilize AGP slot for that. It provides a dedicated pathway between processor and graphic card. So this AGP slot has a direct communication between your processor. So card is there, AGP slot, then the data come to the NOT bridge, and from NOT bridge it goes to the processor. Its bus width is a 32-bit, so means 32 lines are there which transfer your data from your AGP port to your motherboard. The next one card is a PCI card. PCI stand for Peripheral Component Interconnection. Peripheral, we are using word peripheral. Okay, so means these white color slots which are there, they are utilized for different devices. If you remember in the previous slide, we have discussed that AGP is only used for a graphic card, but PCI can be utilized for different functionality. It can be utilized for network adapter, or we can say that LAN, or it can be used for Wi-Fi, or it can be utilized for sound, or it can be utilized for modem. So for different purpose we utilize this PCI slot. It is used to attach different expansion slots or expansion card to your computer. It is still used in a computer, but it's suppressed by a PCI Express. So right now, if you see here, the white color, the old one, which one was a PCI, but we got the latest type of a PCI is there, which is known as a PCI Express. PCI Express. PCI Express has a bus width of 32-bit, and it is the latest standard expansion slot used in a micro and laptop computer. Why this PCI Express came? The reason of high-speed serial communication. PCI was just 32-bit and speed was little bit slower. So the manufacturer think that why not create a slot which is having a higher speed as compared to the PCI. So they created a PCI expression or PCI Express slot. Ribbon cable. It has several parallel lines or wires in the same flat plane that look like a piece of a ribbon, but this cable or ribbon is there whenever parallel lines are there which moves through one wire. So that wire or that combination of wire is known as a ribbon, or it's known as a ribbon cable. It is used in a path for transmitting information between motherboard and your floppy drive or your hard disk. So these ribbon cable were utilized, which you will see in next slide, which is a IDE or SATA cable. Okay, so in a IDE cable we got 40 lines or 20 line cables are there, which is used to connect your hard drive to your motherboard, or your CD-ROM to your motherboard, or floppy drive to your motherboard. IDE interface and cable, and SATA interface and its cable. So if you see here, IDE, integrated drive electronics. Another IDE abbreviation is there. Anybody knows that? Integrated development environment. But here, while we talk about a hardware, so in a hardware, IDE stand for integrated drive electronic. So that is interface which was developed by WD for attaching hard drives to your motherboard. WD stand for Western Digital. It's a company which utilize IDE interface for connecting your hard drive or hard disk or CD-ROM to your motherboard. The first hard disk that use a IDE interface appear in a compact PC in 1986. Hard drive that has a IDE interface had a drive controller integrated into the drive itself rather than have a separate controller on the motherboard. So if you see here, the hard drive, they have at the back of that drive controller board is there. So that cable will be connected, which is a IDE cable, will be connected to your hard drive, and then it will go directly to your motherboard. So that is IDE ribbon cable. Western Digital company introduced a new interface of name of enhanced IDE in 1994. The another one is a SATA interface cable. SATA stand for Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. SATA, Serial Advanced Technology Attachment, is a new computer interface bus for connecting drives to your computer. If you see the red cable which is there, the red cable is a SATA interface cable. It is used to connect hard drives or CD-ROM or DVD-ROM to your computer. It was designed to replace a EID bus interface or IDE interface. So these SATA was created to replace IDE or EID interfaces. SATA bus interface is used in all modern laptop and desktop computer. So if you see your modern laptop or your desktop computer, they have the hard disk which is going to be connected through SATA cable. So means SATA interface will be there, or connection point will be there, where you can connect your hard disk or your CD-ROM to your computer. SATA bus interface is used to communicate through high-speed serial cable. So SATA drives communicate through high-speed serial cable. The good thing inside it, its speed is very high as compared to the IDE cable. SATA bus interface has many advantages over old EID standard. This include what? Fast and more efficient data transfer rate and reduce cable size and cost. If you know, or if you have seen the IDE cable, its length was only 1 feet, or slightly more than that, 1.5 feet. But SATA cable, it is having the same speed of a 1 meter cable. So it means that the cable length increase, performance is also increased along with that. And in a IDE interface, it was a parallel cable, parallel lines were there. But in a SATA, serial line means 2 lines will be available inside it. But maybe you think that's in a IDE we got many lines, in a SATA we got 2 lines. So which one will be better? In your mind, this PATA cable, or you can say that IDE cable, will be better. But that was an old technology. Right now, in a serial, the communication speed also get increased. If I'm going to tell you SATA 1, SATA 2, SATA 3 interface, so in SATA 1 we got a speed of 1.5 gigabyte per second. SATA 2 speed is 3 gigabyte per second, and SATA 3 have a speed of 6 gigabyte per second. So you have seen that the SATA cable or SATA interface cable which is there, their speed is also too much increased. Memory slot and disk controller. What memory slot are? Whenever you want to connect a RAM to your motherboard, we use a memory slot for that. These are a slot on a motherboard that connects RAM with the CPU. Generally, there are two types or two memory slots. We got 2 slots or 4 slots available on a motherboard. RAM card are inserted in these slot. RAM card is a printed circuit board having a series of RAM chip mounted on it. So you can utilize one slot for 4 GB, another slot for 4 GB, or 2 GB slots you can utilize. So it depends upon your motherboard. Disk controller. It is a circuitry that allows communication between CPU and any type of a drive such as a floppy drive, hard disk or CD-ROM drive. Remember that disk controller was available in an old computer. Right now, we don't need a disk controller. Whenever you want to connect a hard drive, so we don't card a PATA or IDE cable on a motherboard. So disk controller card was utilized on your motherboard, and then a cable was used or utilized to connect your hard drive. So modern disk controller are integrated in a disk drive itself. So right now this whole functionality of disk controller is coming inside a new computer, inside your hard disk or with your CD-ROM. So no need of a separate disk controller right now. But in old computers, old disk controller were implemented on a separate control card was there. For example, EID and SATA hard drive have their disk controller circuit inside the drive. So right now this whole circuit is inside the hard drive. Cooling system of your computer. Cooling system is required to maintain proper operating temperature inside the system unit. Computer components installed inside the system unit produce a heat when computer is on. So when you turn on your computer, your motherboard components basically consume what? Whenever electricity is utilized anywhere, so it will produce automatically a heat. So that heat need to be taken out from your system. So for that, cooling system should be a proper cooling system should be maintained to reduce the temperature which is inside the system unit. If the temperature inside the system unit reach to a certain point, it can damage the part. So a fan should be there at the top of microprocessor to cool it down. The highest one heat producer is a microprocessor. So the microprocessor produce lot of heat because it doing all the functionality, or because it is known as a brain of a computer. So every time it is doing any work, so at the top of the microprocessor we got what? A heat sink. So right now heat sink fetch the heat or dissipate the heat from the surface area of the microprocessor, and a fan is attached at the top of that heat sink, which takes the heat from a heat sink and take it out inside the system unit. We got another fan inside a system unit which take out the heat from your system unit to the outside environment. Many computers are designed to turn themselves off if the temperature exceeds certain level. So right now we got certain sensors are there. Whenever a temperature reach to certain point, automatically the fan starts inside your computer or inside the laptop, and it take out the heat from the heat sink and take it outside of your system. Fan of cooling microprocessor is shown also in a picture over here.